Hello my viewers, welcome back to the channel. And by the video title, you know what this video is about. NFL coaching hiring predictions. That's a long video title. I think the video title will be a little more condensed like that. But the coaching hires predictions entering the next season. I know the season is still ongoing, and some of these guys who I mentioned on this list are still probably active coordinators for some teams. But we're going to start at the top of the top, which you see in the thumbnail most likely, and that's Bill Belichick. You know, Bill Belichick is an amazing coach, one of the best defensive-minded coaches we've seen in the game, one of the best coaches, and not the best coach of all time. You know, him, Don Shula, a lot of those guys of the, Walsh and all those guys are some of the best to ever do it. And you look at Bill Belichick parting ways with the Patriots after being there for, 22 years? 24 years. 24 years he was there with the Patriots, and he parted ways. You know, sometimes over time you just get a little stale. Especially, I know a lot of people like to bring up that Tom Brady, of course, was a big factor. Of course, we know Brady was a big factor in him being successful as well. But his defenses was always very good, on par with that. And being a defensive-minded coach and having that long tenure of Brady for so long, and then having to switch over, and he had runs with Cam Newton. It started off well, but Cam Newton got injured, I think, at one point, or caught COVID. And I remember, he came back, it wasn't the same. And then Mac Jones got to the playoffs that one year at 10-7, and then the following year he kind of messed up, mismanaged Mac Jones by bringing in Coach O'Brien to be the offensive coordinator. When not Coach O'Brien, it was not Coach O'Brien. Coach O'Brien was this past year right here, which was bad too as well. It was who was it? Matt Patricia. He brought Matt Patricia in, who was the defensive coordinator for the Patriots for many years, and then he was the head coach of the Lions. And then he came, he got fired from the Lions after the bad leadership he had there. He came here, and they made him the offensive coordinator when he never coached offense before, and that kind of stunted Mac Jones' growth in his sophomore season. Then his third season, you get a guy like Coach O'Brien, and the way he was just disrespecting Mac Jones on the sideline, and you see kind of like they never clicked, they never seemed to be in sync on the same page, and it just never panned out. And Belichick and Mr. Kraft decided to part ways, mutually part ways, and now Belichick is a free agent to go out there and sign with any team, and been interviewing with the Falcons. But I think the best bet for him to go to is probably the Falcons or the Chargers. If you look at the Falcons team, their team looking to win, looking to win and be a competitive team and be in the playoffs and push to try to win the Super Bowl. You look kind of at the roster they have. They have a talented roster, a young talented roster that needs some guidance and needs some structure. Of course, the Patriots lack the talent, but this roster right here would have talent, but they lack the culture. Patriots had the culture, of course, but when you don't have the right guys in place, it's not going to work out and pan out too well. So now the Falcons have the talent. They need that culture. They need somebody to come there to hold those players accountable, to push them to the next level in that system. And Coach Belichick would be a perfect guy for that spot as well. And you look at Drake London, you look at Bijan Robinson, you look at all these different guys they have on the team. Kyle Pitts, who had 1,000 yards his rookie season, then a few years after, he hasn't really been panned up to that level ever since, because it's a mismanaging of the coaching staff and just not putting him in the right positions to go out there and succeed. So a coach like Bill Belichick will hold everybody accountable. If he goes in there, and I think Arthur Blank will give him probably full control and full power to go out there and handle everything and manage everything. And if Belichick had the full control, full power to bring his empire back up to stardom, I think it'd be very good to see. So we're going to see on what goes on with that. But I think having a guy, who won 6 Super Bowls, actually 8 Super Bowls, you count the 2 as a defensive coordinator, having that guy is there with the Falcons would be very good. Now, the Chargers' job is very good, too, because he won't have to worry about building a quarterback, because the Falcons' job, you still have to build a quarterback up. Desmond Ridder, we have seen that he has a little splashes here and there, but he's not the franchise-type guy. And, Taylor Heinicke is cool. He's very gutsy. He's been getting injured a lot lately, but he's not really a franchise guy. He's more like a bridge guy you maybe can rely on here and there, but he's not a franchise guy. So they'll have to go out there and draft a quarterback and build a quarterback up. And that can be something maybe Belichick don't want to do. And we've seen what he did with Mac Jones. It really didn't pan out too well. Maybe that'd be something that he's a little shaky about. Or maybe he can go to the Chargers, who have Justin Herbert, who's a guy who we know is good, a good quarterback. And I don't see him as elite yet, because he still haven't shown to win those big games or uplift his team in those big moments. But sometimes it's kind of tough when you put up 30-plus points, 35-plus points, 40-plus points, and you're still losing games because the Chargers defense is just not the same. Coach Staley never had that. Coach Staley was a good defensive coordinator, but when he got to the Chargers, his defensive skills they just vanished a little bit. And being a coach is not all about being the offensive guru or defensive guru. Having all those are good and things to bring on, to add on, but the main thing you need as a coach is to be a leader. You got to know how to talk to players. You treat everybody fair, but you treat them differently. You can't talk to everybody the same. as a leader, you go out there and you got to hold players accountable, and you got to be able to have the players where they kind of like follow you and they kind of like walk with you and stuff, and being able to uplift them and bring the potential out of them. Staley had the the guru-ness of being a defensive coordinator, a genius and stuff, but he didn't have that leadership control. It felt like he was always awkward when he gave speeches or gave interviews or trying to motivate players to get them into on their groove and get them in sync and get them going with the chemistry. It just didn't pan out. Coach Belichick can go there and have no problem with panning out. He has the resume. He's an 8-time Super Bowl champion. So he can go out there, have the resume. He played in 10, 11 Super Bowls or something. So he been out there. He's been with the best of the best. He has the resume to go out there and be like, hey, this is what you have to do if you want to win. If you want to be great, this is what you have to do. He can go out there and do that and get that defense kind of like all in sync. Because Coach Belichick's play style, he's going to take away your best aspect every time when you're playing against him. If you attack the middle of the field, he's going to take away that. He's going to take that middle of the field away from you. He's going to take the second. You like say you want to throw the ball down the field. He's going to take that away from you. He's going to take your best skill away from you, and you have to find a different way to beat them like that. So Belichick with the guys like Darren James, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, if he does come back, you have all those guys with you, and Sonny Samuel Jr. as well. Well, Sonny Samuel, his junior father, the senior, him and Belichick didn't have the best relationship. That shouldn't have anything to do with his son, though. I would hope not. But I feel like having Belichick there will bring a different element to the Chargers team, and then we see all this potential every year. We see the potential of the Chargers. Like, look at this roster, the offense. You look at all these weapons they have on offense, and you look at the defense. You're like, how are they only managing to win 6 and 7 games every time? Because they just don't have the right culture implemented in the team. So if Belichick go there and bring his style, that militant style culture to the Chargers and hold players accountable and start scheming up some guys and great defensive schemes and bring an offensive coordinator over that knows what he doing and stuff. Could bring Josh McDaniels back. Josh McDaniels is a good offensive coordinator. He's just not a good head coach because he don't have that leadership mentality. So he bring him in over there too. But I think they have Kellen Moore still, I believe. So Kellen Moore is still there. So that's perfect still. Kellen Moore is a good offensive coordinator, but it's kind of hard to like trying to coach the offense when there's a lot of mayhem going and your coach don't really have control over the team. But Belichick will have no problem with that, and I think that would be a great place for him to go as well. Another place another way for the Chargers could go is Jim Harbaugh. We've seen Jim Harbaugh getting an interview with the Chargers as well. They mentioned it last week. Jim Harbaugh, you see what he did the 49ers, what he did with Colin Kaepernick, getting them to the NFC Championship multiple, I think back-to-back years and the Super Bowl, and falling short. I feel like they kind of like put themselves in the bind. They kept doing the same thing over and over in that last play of the Super Bowl, throwing the ball to Michael Crabtree, the jump ball over and over, and just didn't pan out too well. But I think Jim Harbaugh with the Chargers, with Justin Herbert, a guy who, Colin Kaepernick, don't get me wrong, in that period of time, he was cool, he was good, but Justin Herbert's on a different level. His ability to pass the ball down the field, his accuracy, and you see him throw like a bow and arrow like that. Very accurate, very, he has the size, he has the mobility as well, and having the Austin Eckler, having the receiver, I forgot his name, from TCU, having the great Keenan Allen, of course, and then also having Mike Williams, who had a injury later in the season, but I think he'll be back next year. Is having those guys and having those weapons, it's gonna be cool. Palmer was playing pretty well too, as well, stepping up and like in some of those games too. So having those guys and Jim Harbaugh can go out there with his offensive scheme and just kind of like build those guys up, I think they'll be out there scoring 30 plus a game for sure. And with his leadership and his ability to hold players accountable, I think it'll be very, very good to see the Chargers get back to that level and maybe contend or maybe win the Super Bowl too as well. The next spot, the Raiders. The Raiders and Titans are looking for a coach. We've seen the Titans had interest in Antonio Pierce, but I thought the Raiders should definitely sign Antonio Pierce. The Raiders always trying to go out there, the big names. The owner Davis always want a big name. He don't want a big name like we're gonna go out there and say, "We'll get this big name right here. We'll get this big star name. We're gonna bring Josh McDaniels in. We're gonna bring John Gruden in." He should have kept Bruschatti as the head coach. Bruschatti brought those guys after John Gruden got fired. All that noise and stuff. He brought those guys to the playoffs, and there was one play away from moving to divisional rounds like that. I feel like you kept them around. It probably would help the playoff. Probably help their push for the following year and build some more chemistry with the team as well. But he decided to bring in Josh McDaniels, and Josh McDaniels did a horrible job as the head coach. We've seen it in Denver. It didn't work out, and now you see it here, the second chance. It just doesn't work like that. You're not Bill Belichick. You can't bring that style that Bill Belichick brings. But Belichick has 6 Super Bowls. He has 8. He has 2 Super Bowls as a defensive coordinator, so he has 8 total Super Bowls. You can't bring that same mentality to a team. You got to kind of like build trust with those players by going out there and like believing in them and pushing for them and being gritty and being tough. Antonio Pierce, he's the perfect personification of a true Raider like that. You see the crowd reaction at the end of the season after they won that game, and it was chanting AP, AP, we want AP. That right there is just that was beautiful. It was beautiful out there, like to see. He has that grit, he has that grind, he has that toughness, and like that, and that ability to kind of like just captivate all the players. We heard Crosby said that if Pierce is not the coach, he might ask for a trade. And a lot of players are backing that they want Coach Pierce to be the coach because he has shown you that, you know, what a true Raider is about toughness, about grit. You're bringing all these flashy names in. Those names are cool and stuff, may give you more views and give you more clicks and likes, but he's here to help you win. You want to win? Or do you want to win a championship, or you want to win in viewership? I think you want to win a championship at the end of the day, because you're trying to win a championship for the past. When the last time the Raiders even won a championship? It's been a while. It was a while ago. So it's been a while since the Raiders won a championship. So like, how about you get a guy in AP who's willing to go out there? The players are backing. The players are kind of already falling in love with like that. So you want them to change another coach again, and like that, like they build some chemistry with another coach. And there's a whole stretch of the season, and you know you got the off season coming up. A lot of names and stuff. You got some big time players like Devontae Adams who might be asking for a trade, or Crosby or somebody might be asking for a trade. You got to deal with all that while adding a new guy. Go ahead and stick with the guy who already captivated the people, the fans, and who already captivated the players around. I feel like that'd be the best bet for a team like the Raiders to go with, because he's like the perfect identity for the Raiders right there. The Patriots did sign Gerard Mayo. Gerard Mayo was he played I think 9 years, I think 8 years, 8 years, a few Pro Bowls. I think he had one All Pro selection. He was a few Pro Bowls as well. He had a good career, A lot of people are kind of mad about the hiring. I think he's one of the youngest coaches to get hired. He's like 36. So some people are mad about the hiring a little bit. But in my opinion, I feel like it's probably the best bet to go with that hire right there, Gerard Mayo. Of course, you could have got maybe look at some other guys as well, but Gerard Mayo knows the Patriots scheme. He played with the Patriots, and he played at a good level. Won a Super Bowl with the Patriots as well. So he played with this team. He was able to win a Super Bowl, and he had some success as well, being a Pro Bowler as well. So him going out there and being the head coach, some of the players can resonate with him more. Be like, okay, he played through the system. He knows what it's like to win. He's been at the top of the mountaintop before. Let's try to fall behind him and follow behind him, because he's younger also as well. So some of these coaches that keep trying to go out there and try to bring back, some of these guys are a little outdated a little bit. So it's kind of hard for them to resonate with some of the young people sometimes. Of course, you can still resonate and maybe like kind of like say, okay, we have some things in common and stuff. But a guy who's 36, who's probably younger than some of the players on the team, or around the age of some of the players on the team, in their 30s, or maybe the age of some of the players' parents on the team. You never know. So him being like around that age, I think kind of helped. I believe he's 36. He's 36 or I think 38, around that range. But him being like around their age, and him also being through the system, and I feel like he'd do a good job. He'd do a good job as the head coach. I'm hoping he'd do a good job too as well, because that opened a lot of doors for a lot of former players who want to become head coaches, one day, working themselves up. I think that opened a lot of doors for those guys like that. We see a lot of former players who might be a coach one day and stuff. Phillip Rivers, I know Phillip Rivers coached his son. He was coaching his kids in high school, but you never know. Phillip Rivers always had the good leadership mentality. Maybe one day he might decide to go to college and move himself up to the NFL. You never know what could happen. I feel like he'd be a good coach as well. But there's a lot of guys who have that kind of that nature. We've seen Trent Dilfer. He got lost himself on the sideline at one point in college, but he's being the coach. Of course, you see Coach Sanders out there with Colorado being the coach. There's a lot of former players who wanted to get into the coaching. I think Eddie George is still coaching, if I'm not mistaken, too, as well. So you have a lot of different guys out there coaching. So Gerard Mayo being the guy who's getting the head coaching job in the NFL. I know we had Saturday who got the interim head coaching job last year for the Colts, but Gerard Mayo being the official head coach for the Patriots like that, getting former players a little like, okay, there you go, it's a former player as well. Kind of like Coach Campbell, who's a former player. D'Amico Ryans, who's a former player. He was a very good player too, all-pro, multiple-time Pro Bowler, Defensive Rookie of the Year with the Texans, and you see him winning and stuff. So a lot of different guys who are former players in this league who have kind of been a part of the journey, and some of them are coaching their former teams, like Campbell coaching the Lions, and D'Amico Ryans coaching the Texans, who he played for, and now you got Gerard Mayo coaching the Patriots, who he played for. So it's very cool to see those guys get opportunities. The Seahawks might go after Dan Quinn, because Dan Quinn, he had the Legion of Boom defense very, very, very good. When they had, the Richard Sherman, the Earl Thomas, the Bobby Wagners, the Brandon Browners, all those different guys they had right there. It was a very good defense. I think him being the head coach for the Seahawks would be good. Pete Carroll retired. And he retired from coaching basically and moved up as an advisor to the team. So he's probably going to be helping with maybe the draft process maybe helping when help is needed, like kind of like Tom Coughlin was doing with the Jaguars a little bit, and was doing around doing around different areas, probably helping with the the draft. Kind of, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think Kyle Shanahan's father, Mike Shanahan, who's a two-time Super Bowl champion, I believe too as well. I think he kind of like a advisor too for his son and stuff around the 49ers a little bit as well. So just having that advisor, like a veteran leadership, might not be able and willing to go out there to do the whole thing again, like coaching and have operations of everything, but going around is like helping in the draft room, maybe helping with the player development and say, oh, we need to help on the defensive side or the offensive side, is doing different things to kind of like, to be around all around help. So having Dan Quinn, who's been there before, was a defensive coordinator for a very long time and had the defense going crazy. So he got his job with the Falcons, and the Falcons defense was pretty good too when he was there. Having him come back with the Seahawks, up that defense, you got Devin Witherspoon, you got Jamal Adams, you got a lot of young talent there as well. So having him come back to coach that team and build that defense up and bring some leadership there to the team. The team hadn't been bad. Pete Carroll got them to 9-8 this year. It was 9-8 last year. Not like the best ever, but they were still above water as well. So it hadn't been like a team where they were like just going out there and just like a terrible team or anything, like just like bottom feeders of the league. So they've still been afloat a little bit as well. I thought they just need some more playmakers on the team like that on the defensive side of the ball, maybe through the draft. Geno Smith is still a good quarterback. I feel like he's not going to be, of course, not the franchise guy, but he's the guy like right now in the situation. So I feel like they draft the guy behind Geno. Geno is the type of leader that he'd be willing to help the guy behind him for maybe a year or two, and then get that guy ready so you can have a guy for the future. So maybe they should do that this year. We're going to see what the Seahawks do, but Dan Quinn would be a perfect pick for the Seahawks. The Commanders, I think Eric Bieniemy got to be up there for the Commanders, because you look at what he's done with the Commanders as the offensive coordinator. Of course, we see the lack of wins that they have is because it's kind of hard to win when the defense is not playing good and you don't have the right talent there. Sam Howell showed you a little bit here and there, but he's not a franchise quarterback. He's not the guy like that. So they need to go out there and draft a quarterback and get a real quarterback. And I think keeping Coach EB there will be nice, because his offensive like mind is good, and also his ability to hold players accountable and being like hard nosed and gritty and tough. Because you remember, like, you see a lot of former players, they always come out and like defend on him. People always say, well, he didn't call the plays in Kansas City. Yeah, we know Andy Reid called the plays, but EB went out there and built the players up individually. He was helping players, holding players accountable. Remember, like, we see a lot of players kind of like who was it? I think it was LaShawn McCoy who said that EB was not good and all this like that. But we kind of found out when Tyreek Hill came and wrote the news, said the reason that LaShawn McCoy don't like EB is because EB kept telling him about the fumbling and kind of like, so it's like getting on him about the fumbling and kind of hold him accountable about the fumbling. And you see this season with a lot of the Chiefs mishaps, with the drops, and you see Mahomes, he threw 28 touchdowns. He still won a playoff game, of course. He's still doing good, of course. But 28 touchdowns to 14 receptions. It's not really his best year. Like, they've nothing to write home about. It's not like a spectacular year. It's not terrible either, but it's kind of like, it's all right. He did pretty good like that here and there throughout the season. But you see, like, when Coach EB was there, he might have called the plays, but he was holding a lot of the players individually accountable. He was holding this guy and that guy, but like the receivers, in the running back room, some of the QBs as well, holding those guys accountable and building them up. And you see the success, right? Because you look at the receiving core this year and last year, not really a big like dramatic change. Juju Smith-Schuster was there last year. He put up like 900 plus yards. You got Sidney Rice not Sidney Rice. You got Rashee Rice this year, and he put up 900 plus yards as well. But you look at some of the other guys too. A lot of drops. Last year, they didn't have that problem with the drops and stuff. And, Kadarius Toney, like a guy who was on the verge of breaking free last year and being at least a solid elite number 2 type of guy. But this year, he just kind of like fell off a little bit. And you see Mecole Hardman, same thing. A lot of drops, a lot of mishaps down the field. MVS, same thing as well. Because a lot of those games, the Chiefs lost because of those drops. Because of drops. Kadarius Toney, some of his drops led to interceptions. And last year they didn't have that problem when EB was there. And now EB is gone, they haven't had that problem. Of course, they still winning, and they're going to play the Bills, I believe, in the divisional round. It's Mahomes' first playoff game on the road, so we're going to see how that goes and stuff. But having EB around will help your team with accountability, will help your team just kind of like build them up individually and create mental toughness for the team as well. So I think he should be the coach for the Commanders. You look at kind of like some other teams, like you look at the Panthers. I think the Panthers got to go out there. Either Ben Johnson, who has been doing a great job, a phenomenal job with the Lions. The Lions won their first playoff game in 32 years. Ben Johnson been just he brought that offense to a different level like that. Consistency over time, and just keep preaching that. And now you have the guys there too as well. With Jared Goff playing very well. You got Jamar Gibbs. You got Dave Montgomery. You also got James Williamson. You have Amon St. Brown, who's an All-Pro. I think he had 1,400 receiving yards. I think 1,500 receiving yards, and he had like 120 and 30 catches. It's some crazy numbers. He's been playing phenomenal football this season. He didn't make the Pro Bowl, but he got the All-Pro. I think I'd rather have an All-Pro over a Pro Bowl anyway. So he got the right one that he earned that season. And you look at a guy like Bobby Slowick as well from the Texans OC, what he's done with the Texans, and we've done with C.J. Stroud, building those guys up. I feel like the Panthers got to go after one of those guys who can help build up quarterbacks, because they need Bryce Young to go out there and get himself on that level of C.J. Stroud, because Bryce Young was the first pick, and we see talent there. We see talent, but the Panthers just got to find a way to build around them and get the offensive scheme, because those guys out there are masterminds. They'll find a way to make it comfortable for the quarterback, make the quarterback job very easy. We see what Kyle Shanahan do with Brock Purdy. We see what Matt LaFleur do with Jordan Love. We see all these different guys. Of course, they have talent. Jordan Love has talent, Matt and Brock Purdy have talent, but when you have a guy who makes it, when you have your talent and a guy who kind of scolds your talent and kind of keep you make easy decisions, it brings the best. Even the best out of you like that. We see C.J. Stroud, where he's playing phenomenal, only 5 interceptions this season as well. So it's amazing how he's kind of like playing like a veteran, like he's been here before. So I think getting a guy like Ben Johnson or Bobby will be great for the Panthers to kind of build Bryce Young, to get him into that, okay, it's time for him to get going, to try to build him up around him and try to find the right pieces around him too as well. So we're going to see how that pans out. But that's all I got for the video today, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe for more content. And I'll see you guys next time on the channel. Peace out.